So, should we go for it?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Okay. I just want to start off by welcoming everyone that's actually taken the opportunity to watch us live. And even if you're watching this on catch up or replay, thank you so much. But on that note, I also want to say it's been a real eye-opener. And I don't know whether you've had this as well, Sagar, but leading up to this event, I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and in the last week or so, in the last couple of days, and it's actually motivated me or inspired me to continue doing these lives, because I feel like the amount of people that have asked me questions or wanted to know various things around this live today just opened my eyes around how we need to talk and we need to do more of this. So thank you to everyone who's reached out, and we will try and get through questions that you have asked or kind of sent to me to ask today. So we are up for this, aren't we, Sagar? Yeah?
We are indeed, definitely.
Okay. I think because we are going to be also sharing this live on different platforms, hopefully, maybe after the live, because I know that because this is a private group, this is for AsianPatient, but we will be sharing it. So I think it's only right that I introduce myself. So I'm Rinal Patel, and I'm the founder of a group called AsianPatient, which is on Facebook. And it's for South Asians to share anything related with their health, really, to connect, share their story, actually get some advice, support mainly. But also, I think what we have realised over the last few years is within our South Asian community brings with it great culture, great beliefs, but also it has a massive impact around certain health conditions, because there's almost a barrier there, and we almost need to break the barrier, break that stigma around discussing certain issues. And this is why, I suppose it leads me on quite nicely to introduce you, Sagar, that we've got Sagar Vyas with us today, and he's going to be going through his personal story and his personal journey around mental health. So thank you. Now, Sagar Vyas, I have to say, is, I mean, I've known you for a couple of years, and you are a really kind, amazing soul, and you've done a lot of seva within the Asian community, especially during this lockdown period. And what you're continuing to do is actually inspirational in itself. But we'll talk a little bit about the group that yourself and your friends and your colleagues have set up called Mindful Men's Club, which is around mental health, but we will touch on that a little bit later. But in terms of profession, so you run weddings and events, so you've got your company SB Weddings and Events, and you're also a professional DJ. So I had the pleasure of listening to on many occasions, especially during lockdown. So that's fantastic. But welcome to you.
Thank you, Rinal. I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for allowing me and actually reaching out. And so grateful to you to actually ask me whether I wanted to join this live. I think when you brought up the subject, it was so nice, because we've realized, and the reason why we're touching up on the subject later on Mindful Men's Club is because I don't think as men, people don't really realize that we also go through things, but men tend to not speak out. So sharing a journey, and I've always said this on many of my other lives that I've done, is one share will help so many others, right? And we don't know that, because all we are looking for is likes and loves and emojis. But even people that are online today, thank you so much, and make sure you share this, guys, because you might be sharing something and you may not get a reply back, but you don't know if that person has shared it amongst someone else. So yeah, thank you so much, Rinal, and this will be very interesting.
Well, it's our pleasure, and actually you're the brave one here, because it's your personal story and your journey. So I suppose it makes sense to start off with the question around talk to us about what you went through, and I suppose how it all started, and how this mental health journey of yours took place, and the situation around it. And so,
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as Rinal mentioned, you always have your ups and downs, and one thing I realized, when I got, this all starts back from God knows when, and 1996, when I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, having Crohn's, I don't think people realize that there's so much emotional trauma that you go through, because at that point, no one really knew about Crohn's or colitis. And when people got to find out what Crohn's and colitis is, they realized after that, of course, this is not something that's something very small, it's a huge issue. And I didn't maybe realize it then, but I was maybe going through a lot of anxiety. Yeah. And that was maybe because every time I used to go to a venue or used to go to a family event, straight away they will say, "Oh, Sagar, you're not putting on any weight. What's wrong with you? Don't you eat?" And that used to affect me because I had Crohn's. A lot of people didn't know that I had Crohn's. And again, because I was so closed in, how would I expect them to know if I don't tell them? Because I'm sure that the comments would have been completely different if they knew I had Crohn's. Then they wouldn't have said the same comments, which would have not created anxiety, right? But again, we think we know that others know, but actually they're not mind readers. And this is why sharing this, I'm sharing on your platform. I don't know any of these people. However, I'm hoping that one share will get so many other shares. And, so I went through a really, really bad patch with my Crohn's. And of course, Crohn's is not curable. But I managed to shift my mindset and understand that actually, when these comments are coming through, process it, but only you know how you're going to react to it. And if you know why they're saying something, but you know that you haven't told them, let them say what they want. However, because I've managed to switch my mindset and process it in a different way, that anxiety from my Crohn's that I used to suffer has sort of slowly drifted away, and it's really weird because I don't think men know when they're going through something until something like the lockdown happens and you can't be busy anymore. So you actually then realize, actually, you know what, I'm depressed, and sort of going on that, then of course I came out of that whole anxiety and my Crohn's I was taking care of. However, that affected a lot of my relationships. And it might just not be the Crohn's. Maybe I was putting, I was saying things and thinking that it might have been my Crohn's that affected my relationship, but it could have been myself. So going through a whole range of depression and with my marriage breaking down after 6 years, that was the hardest part because I was still keeping everyone else happy, as in my couples, but I couldn't be happy myself. I was like Jekyll and Hyde, oh, congratulations, you're getting married. And in my mind, I'm thinking, don't do it. Right? But,
inside, it's a different story at that point.
Yeah, it was. But, I think moving forward, I've done a lot of self-development courses, and I'm not saying that I've got through everything and I'm all happy. There are days, and I think Rinal knows quite a bit about me, because it's so weird how you reach out to people that you don't really know, because emotionally, and I'm not saying you're not emotionally attached to Rinal, I hope you are, no joke. But emotionally, because you're not attached, whatever you say, the person who's actually suffering will listen to you more than actually listen to a loved one. And again, going back on this, when my loved ones, my immediate family, when they were actually saying, why, you've gone through this, just forget it, who cares, whatever. I realized, and I was getting very angry. I was reacting very quickly and actually saying, well, you don't know what it's like because you're not going through it. However, now it being 3.5 years, and when I processed it and had time to process what's actually gone on, I realized that they're saying it out of love, right? It's not that they're against her or they're against me being married or whatever it was. They're saying it out of love because they don't want me to hurt. So this is why I think, Rinal, I mentioned it to you, where when I say that I'm emotionally detached to almost everything now, the first trigger or the first reaction I get, oh my God, you don't love us. It's not about loving. Emotionally detached actually means that it gives me the opportunity to actually serve you at a higher energy frequency level. Because if I'm attached to you, I'm only going to say things that you want to hear.
So I was going to say to you, Sagar, that this is obviously after, at this point, you can obviously, you've come to that level where you can emotionally detach yourself. But we go back to your experience and the journey and when it all started. So obviously you said that your Crohn's, that was, I suppose, like you said, that your anxiety kind of took off from there when you were diagnosed with Crohn's, and you were quite anxious around that, and you expected people to kind of, I suppose, know what you're going through, but people don't. You're the one going through it at that time, only you know how you feel. And then you obviously touched on your marriage breakdown, you splitting from your partner. So at what point, how were you feeling? Like, were you able to, I suppose, talk to anyone within your family, your friends, your colleagues? How did you reach out? How did you feel? What was going through your mind at that time?
Yeah, well, a very good question. I think feelings were all over the place. I actually didn't know who to reach out to. Only because I didn't think they will understand. When I did reach out to a couple of people, the first thing they would have said, or the first thing they would say is, see, I told you not to DJ too much. You didn't spend enough time with your missus, so you're to blame. And that was hard. And then, because when you hear the same things over and over again, you tend to switch off, because then you think, I'm not going to reach out to anyone. No one's going to understand. I'm going to deal with this my own way. However, that was very, very hard, because I must have gone through anxiety, must have gone through depression, anxiety in terms of when I'm actually doing these weddings, when I have my meetings with my clients, the first thing the parents say, Sagar, are you married? Right? And because I am 40, even though I might not look it, so the first thing they say is, are you married? And then when I say to them, and I've opened up and I will say, well, I'm divorced, the first thing they say, well, how can you still do weddings? What happened? And is it because you do too much events and DJing? So you're hearing it from your clients as well, and you think, who do I actually reach out to? Who's going to actually understand me? That it takes two for something to break down, right? Same with my Crohn's. The anxiety of it was, every time I was going to a family event and they'll say, Sagar, you're not putting on weight. Doesn't your parents feed you? And then what happened? Instead of dealing with that issue, I just stopped going to events. And that's not the way to deal with it, because inside, everyone's having fun. I could have been there, but inside, I'm actually suffering. And of course, I think my marriage breakdown, as it really, really, really hit me, because I thought to myself straight away, wow, I'm making all these people happy. I always tell people what a marriage is about, and here I'm going through the whole divorce. How is that even possible? So when I did move back home, I was in a real state, let me put it that way. I had to put up a front when I used to do weddings. I locked myself in my room. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I tried committing suicide 3 times. And, you know, I think suicide, it comes to a point where when there is no one and you feel like there is no one, what do you do? Because here you're in a bubble. Trying to get out of that bubble is very, very hard. And it takes a lot of people to actually just sit there and listen. You know what people don't understand? When I'm talking to a counselor, why do we talk to counselors? Because they're not there to fix you, right? Why do I talk to you, Rinal? And I talk to you because you listen, and you're not there to say, Sagar, this is how to fix yourself. It doesn't work like that. And I think that's why when people try and say, do this, try this, do this, try and find this, try and do this, you don't want to hear that. All you want is them to listen. That's it. I don't want you to fix me. I'm not asking for your opinion. And that's the hardest.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's upsetting, right? When you hear someone say the word suicide, like it's really kind of hard for me to even listen to the fact that you tried and you were at that point where you were feeling so low that there's no one around you that can kind of bring you out of this situation. I suppose when you were in your lowest of the low, and I'd imagine that was, did you kind of, were you aware that you were, you know, at that point? At what point did it kind of, see, I'm even struggling even asking you the question around that. What point did you become aware that, okay, I need to do something now?
Yeah. Riddle, just before I answer that, I'm just looking at some of the comments.
Sure.
I'm echoing when I'm talking. So when I talk, I think if you put yourself on mute,
Yeah.
hopefully that, let us know, guys, if that has solved the problem when Riddle puts herself on mute, please. Thank you. So, wow. I actually don't know. I can't sort of pinpoint. I think there were 2 girls in my life, right, who are now my very, very, very close sisters, you know, and they actually pulled me out of this, as well as 2 other guys that I used to work with. And it's really weird because they were random work colleagues, right? But they pulled me out of this, and they actually, even now, till this day on, they will ring me at least once a week just to check up that I'm okay. And when you have someone like that, that's actually not going to talk about your past, but they know everything and they just ring up just to check up on you. And they actually, I don't know why I listened to them. I have no idea, because they kept saying to me when I was working, and of course I still lived with my partner even though we were separated. And that was hard, because when you're in separate rooms and it doesn't seem normal, how do you get through that? Because you're going back to your place, but it's really your place, not your place. It's really weird. But they kept saying to me, you need to get out, because this is not good for your state of mind. And my brothers kept saying that. However, it's really weird that I listened to them, because they finally got me out. And I think sometimes it's the way, instead of reacting exactly what I said earlier, when your loved ones and your siblings say something, you tend to react out of anger, thinking, you keep telling me to get lost and move out. Don't you know I'm trying to figure this out myself, and I'm trying to fix this marriage? However, they can see something else. They know it's ended, right? But you don't want to listen to that because you think that they're saying it out of, oh, do you know what? Just forget her, leave her, whatever not. But it's not like that. And the two girls that I listened to, you know, it's it was so nice because I finally moved out, but I then realized, wow, I am actually depressed because I can't do anything. I finally reached out to a counselor. I went counseling a couple of times, not a lot of times. And to be honest, the counselor didn't say anything that I didn't know. But, you know, emotions were there. Yes, I cried a lot. And it was difficult. And it's taken me a long time. You know, it's going to come up to 4 years. And it's been difficult. But I think what I realized that when I slowly came out of this and I had the support network around me, I realized that actually I'm losing everyone just because of one person and one breakup. I'm losing everyone else around me. And that was my fault, not their fault. They tried to reach out, but I was so closed off in my own little bubble just because one thing has affected me so bad that I didn't want to hear anyone's input. And then it ended up that I lost my brothers. Oh, my brother's always going to love me, right? They are blood. But I lost. What happened was when I realized that my brothers are meeting up with the cousins. And I was like, where's my invite? But they switched off because they knew that all I was going to say is what I say all the time, which is I'm busy or I can't come. And I realized if I don't do something about this now, then I'm not just going to, haven't just lost my partner. I'm actually going to lose my family as well. And I'm still learning. I'm still very closed off. You might not think that because I do so much. But how do you know that I don't do all of this because I'm trying to keep myself busy?
So I suppose that's like, I mean, so one of the questions that I did receive actually is probably quite a nice time to ask this is for family, for friends, for colleagues, everyone around you, what sort of support or how can they recognise symptoms and what are the sorts of ways that they can help someone that is suffering or going through a period of their life where, you know, they want to say something, do something or support, but how can they do that? From your personal experience, what's the best way to support?
You know, just listen. I always say one thing, and that is always check up on your happy friends, right? Because that smiles are very easy to put on, but what you don't know and what someone's going through is a very difficult thing. And you know, we're very quick to say, how are you? And when someone says, yeah, I'm fine, and we shut it down, right? Why don't we ask that question in a different way? Because people tend to slowly open up. And again, you know, I did the same thing, you know, how are you? And I'm like, yeah, fine. And of course they will just say, okay, well, he can't be bothered to talk. So, and then I can't blame them. Again, this all comes back to, don't assume, you know, right? Because I just thought, oh, well, they know I'm going through a divorce. Well, why don't they ask me even more questions instead of just shutting it down as, how are you? But maybe they don't want to. Maybe it takes one person to actually open up. And that's the difficult part, right? When someone, if you know anyone that is going through depression or anxiety, or you think someone's out of character, you know, then reach out. And sometimes all it takes is just a phone call. Forget messaging. Messaging is, it can be very miscommunicating as well. So reach out, and ask the right questions. Don't, when you're actually talking to someone who needs help, don't always go and talk about their past and you should have done this, you should have done that, because that's not what the opposite person wants to hear. They're already suffering. They are still trying to find themselves. That's the difficult part. And it takes just one person, as I said, just open up. And then when someone who's on the opposite side, when you're just there to listen, that's all we want. Signs wise, wow, I think everyone's different. But when you think someone who's very energetic, someone who loves everyone, someone who loves entertaining, someone who likes going out to bars and clubs and cinemas and going out and meeting friends, if that all of a sudden stops, that's a massive sign that, you know what, this is not Sagar, because this is completely out of character for him. That's a massive sign when someone completely changes their way of living. Just reach out to those people, right? And as I said, check up on your happy friends, because they're not happy. And there's a quote by someone called Cooley, and the quote is actually, and this is why mental health, I think, it's a very deep subject for me now, because in the Asian culture, we're not allowed to be depressed. Because when you say to your parents, I'm going through a depression, or I'm depressed, the first thing they say, what do you mean depressed? There's no such thing as depression, right? And so then if you can't even talk and share that with your immediate family, because you're like, and there's nothing wrong with my parents saying that, because that's what they know. That's what they've been brought up with, right?
So really, I was just going to say, I mean, that's actually, again, it's almost like we've planned this, but we haven't. I was going to move on to literally talking about our South Asian culture. So I touched on it at the beginning. We love our culture. We love the beliefs that we have, the religious beliefs, the cultural beliefs within the South Asian community. But it's those beliefs that also allow us not to open up, totally against the ideology of it's okay to talk, or it's okay to not be okay, right? So, Saga, are you okay? Well, not feeling too good today. I'll give Andoni. It's okay. That's fine. Yeah. Brush it under the carpet, So I suppose we have this image, and this is the thing, right? It's not, no one's wrong or right. It's how people have been brought up. You've gone through these beliefs, it's been ingrained in you, and that's what we live with. Oh, so and so na acha, so and so na, this person has this person has that. It must have been something they've done in their previous life to be going through this right now. That's a massive thing that people believe. Is it right? Is it wrong? That has a massive impact on how we're brought up, who we speak to. And I suppose it's around the bravado of, you're a man, show that strength, show that courage. You shouldn't be crying. You shouldn't be talking about things that aren't, happy or anything like that. So in terms, like, what do you think? Like, was it hard for you to speak to? Did you have that at the back of your mind when you were talking to your family, your friends, and stuff like that? Because one thing I do want to say, and this was really shocking, and these are statistics, UK statistics, but obviously a small country like the UK, it's huge out there, right? India, Africa, wherever you are in the world, USA. 1 in 4 men, 25% of men feel that they cannot talk to anyone around mental health. So you've spoken about your lowest time and how you felt, and how you felt the same thing. Do you feel that we are going through that mental health period where we're feeling really low and we're feeling like that and we're feeling alone? But then on top of that, you've got the internal barrier of being South Asian. Oh, I can't speak to my mum, my dad. What will they think? What will they tell everyone? I'm not feeling well. What would it, and stuff like that. So you're already fighting something in terms of your health, your mental health, but you've got that internal fight as well.
Yeah, every day, or should I say, I used to. It's a bit different now. But yeah, I think, as you mentioned, when you talk about your problems as a guy, you're deemed to be weak. And due to that reason, people will not reach out, right? Because you don't want to be seen weak. You're supposed to be the man in the relationship. You're supposed to be the man who just gets over things and gets things done. However, guys, that's not reality, right? It's unfortunate that this is our stigma, and and this is how society is and how we've been brought up and so on. But look at it now, right? When people say, oh my God, Sagar, you do this, you meditate, you do this, like, yeah, meditation is good, isn't it? It's so nice that it's around now. No. It's always been around, right? But we've never been taught to do that, right? We've been taught to, just get on with life. Go and find a job, get married at 20, right? Have kids, and even now, it's only coming up to 4 years, and people will say, and I think my other half is on this listening, but she knows. One thing I realized is communication is such a big thing, because actually that might have been one of the things that ended my marriage, because again, I assumed she knew, right? And because I did, we just never talked about anything. And I just kept myself busy. And I think now things are changing. I think a lot of guys are speaking out. I think a lot can be done. There is so much more on mindfulness, which is so lovely at the moment. We've got your group. Of course, this is what made me launch the Mindful Men's Club with others, because we've all gone through some kind of journey, some depression journey, whatever it is. But how and what we have done, it takes time, because even now, family members will say, okay, yeah, Sagar, you're divorced. It's been 4 years, hasn't it? When are you getting married? I'm like, I don't even know if I'm ever going to get married, right? Now, that doesn't mean that I don't like the person I'm with or anything else. It's just, I'm going to say this, right? But it's really weird. And this is why what I don't understand. As you know, I do a lot of weddings, and it's really bad for me to say this, but as many weddings as I do, that's how many divorces I see at the moment, right? And it's really weird, because someone who's going out with someone for, let's say, 9-10 years, perfect relationship, then a ring changes that relationship the next day. Now, I understand commitment, things change, but why does a ring change the way you were over the last 10 years? And then a piece of paper changes it to another level, right? But you're still the same two people. And I think people forget that, right? And one of the quotes that I was going to say to you, and I think this is the way us Asians, and I don't want to just categorize it to just to Asians, but this is how we live. And this quote is something that hit me so much. It's by a guy called Charles Cooley. And he put, it's going to be mind-boggling, by the way, but this is how we live our life. I am not what I think I am, and I am not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. Right? So when people say, And I used to get this a lot, and I still see this in relationships, right? I'm so blessed now that I don't mean to say that I'm happy that I'm divorced, but I'm so grateful that this has happened, because it's taken me to do all of this and help others with their relationship. But it's so weird when people say to me, I said, what happened? Why did you go through a depression? Why did you get divorced? That person changed. Well, that person didn't change, because what you did is that person was always the person that person was. However, you changed that person, and someone can only sustain that change for how long? Then you go back to your original self. So when you say that that person changed, actually, no, that person changed during the whole relationship and then couldn't handle it anymore. So he just came back to who he was before. Right. And it's true. It's, I'm not just saying this because I've gone through it, but I see that. And now that's changed my way of thinking. I don't mean to be arrogant, but if you don't like who I am, I'm not forcing you to talk to me. And this is how I get through all my weddings. People say to me, are you not nervous when you do all these Facebook lives and you speak to thousands of people? Are you not worried? I'm like, I don't know them. And to be honest with you, after the wedding, I'm never going to see them again anyway. So why does it matter how I seem to hold myself? And why do I care too much of how they perceive me?
It's true. But obviously it's taken you that period to a long period of time to get to this point.
And I'm still growing. That's the thing, right?
And yeah. So I've got another question that was that somebody wanted to ask was, how do you now? Because again, I suppose with mental health, it's not something that, okay, 1 minute you go through, or you have an anxiety attack and you go through that period where you're feeling really anxious, and then you find the tools to deal with that, and then you're okay. But that doesn't mean it disappears. You have to deal with that day in, day out. You, at the back of your mind, the point that you were at your lowest is always going to be there, and the journey around how you got there and how you coped with it and everything like that. So how do you deal with it day in, day out in terms of your mental health? What are the sorts of things that you do to help you day in, day out?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Yeah, you're completely right. It never disappears, and you think it has, because I always thought it did when I did all these courses and everything else. However, lockdown, I think, did affect me, right, in a different way, because I wasn't busy anymore to keep my mind active. And so when you're stuck in your room doing whatever you're doing, you do tend to automatically think about your past. And this is why I meant to say that when I said I'm still growing, this is what I meant, that I'm not still 100%, because at the back of my mind, my thoughts do take me back to when I was married and what it was like, and do I blame myself, and if so, why, and so on. Why did this happen to me? But I found a way to process that information now, which I wasn't able to do before. One is meditation. I tend to meditate 1 up to 2 hours a day if I can. And it might be not just all in one go, it might be just in 15-minute drags. Sometimes it's the full amount. But that's helped me just have some clarity and just focus, because these things do pop up, by the way. When I did my silence course and I had 3.5 days of no talking, I think the first literally 10 minutes of me doing the silence course, actually I thought I was having a heart attack, because there was so much in here that it only came out through silence, because I couldn't use my laptop, no social media. I couldn't even read a book because it makes your mind wander. So I had to meditate 9 to 12 hours a day. So it was just sleep, eat, meditate. And it's really weird because when my parents are coming, Jai Shri Krishna, and I'm like, because I'm not allowed to talk. But so much came out. And my ex, I'm just not going to mention names because there might be so many people that know. So my ex came up in my meditation. She still comes up in dreams sometimes, but trying to understand why, and meditation. I know people say, yeah, meditation is nothing, this and that. And one of the questions that I get a lot is, how do you meditate? Because we've tried, but we keep getting thoughts in our head. Well, that's what meditation is. Let those thoughts come in, because if you're not thinking, there's something wrong with you anyway. So get those thoughts coming in, understand it while you're meditating, process it, and then let it go. And that's helped me a lot. The other thing that's actually helped me, which I never thought it would, so many people have said it, it's called automatic writing. And what automatic writing is, for people that don't know, is you wake up in the morning and you just write, just pick up a pen, and your hand will automatically start writing. Once you've written what you need to write, first thing in the morning, don't look at it. And then the following day, before you write your next bit, look at what you wrote the day before. So now I have this thing where I do have my past all jotted down. And that's not just my ex, it's everything. So it's from Crohn's, it's all my other girlfriend, boyfriend relationships. Why have they broken up when we were so powerful and so tight together, right? Why didn't that relationship break up? But then on the other column, I've actually put down all the positives that I have achieved during this journey. And so whenever you are feeling, or you think you're going back to the lowest, or you're feeling anxious, or you think you're gonna, you've come from a wedding, let's say, in my fact, I've come from a wedding, memories come back, and I will go back to thinking mode. What do? I read what I've put down. Because then I realize that, okay, I've gone through a lot, that's cool. However, look at where I am now, right? And that doesn't mean let one person choose your journey or your destination. Only you know how to react. Whether you want to react and just think about the bad things, do it. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. If that's what you want to do, then you need to find out, how are you going to move forward with that? I know the other reason I've put all this down on paper is I know that I was at fault for my divorce in some way. But because I've jotted it down, at least I've processed it so I don't take it to my next relationship.
That's amazing, actually. I mean, it's great to hear. I'd never heard of it, so it's really something worth doing, especially if it's going to help you along the way, right? So I suppose one of the other things that I want to say that's probably helped, and I know you haven't mentioned it, but I'm sure it's helping, is Mindful Men's Club. So you've set up with some friends, colleagues, you've set up a forum, a fantastic forum around men's mental health, which is also a group on Facebook, but obviously for the kind of privacy side of things, you carry out meetings via Zoom, but it's called Mindful Men's Club. So talk to me about that, because that is absolutely fantastic what you guys are doing there.
Thank you, Rinal, for bringing that up. Yeah, Mindful Men's Club. Well, we launched it back in February, and there was only 5 of us, actually. So it was the 5 founders. No one really turned up. So, we slowly started getting 1 person, 2 people, and so on. And then lockdown hit. Now, because we, as 5, we are very passionate about actually creating this group and wanting to help others, we couldn't just stop meeting. So we thought, well, how can we do this when we brought it on virtually on Zoom? And I think that was the best thing we ever did. And I think even when we do come out of lockdown and when things go back to normal, I don't think we'll ever do public meeting. Maybe we will, but I think the 2 weekly Zoom sessions will definitely continue that, because now we have about 20 people that come on the Zoom session, roughly, all around the world. So it's not just the UK, whereas doing it in UK, and if we did meet up in person, then it would only be people from the UK. This has been so lovely. We've got people from Singapore, Australia, India, America. So it's so nice to have people on this whole session on this platform. And again, why did we start it? Because all 5 of us have gone through a journey. It might be with relationship. It might be with having and mounting up a huge debt, not finding work, whatever it is. But we've all been anxious. We've all been depressed. And, you're right. How has this, creating this group has helped me, has also helped us, 5 of us individually. Because, when people talk and share their own story, you sort of reflect and think, you know what, actually, I went through that, or am I going through that? Sometimes all it takes is a little bit of a trigger word for you to think, actually, I'm going through that as well, right? And we've seen this journey so well, because when we first started the Zoom, we do not force anyone to put their cameras on. We do not force anyone to talk. If they want to talk, we're there to listen, or we'll just continue talking about ourselves. And that's how it started off. No one had their videos on. No one wanted to talk. They will chat on chat option. Now, all 20 of them, and it's still growing, actually come on video, actually participate. They actually choose the topics. And when I mean choosing topics, it's not just about spirituality or finding your why. We do very deep topics, such as we did a topic on celibacy. Wow. We thought, should we do this? Should we not? Because how are people going to open up to that? It was one of the most, something that you could take away from that topic, because everyone on that Zoom chat talked about their own little thing. And I was like, wow. Okay.
Well, I think that's fantastic, because like you say, it's creating that space for men to get together, and for everyone to be able to get together, connect, share their stories, their journeys. And actually, like you say, again, this whole platform around talking to you today, for example, it's all around talking. It's all around sharing, and it's all around building that awareness, right? So, no one should feel like they're alone, regardless of what they're going through. And I think this is the hardest thing. When someone has a physical illness, you can recognize it. You can see their pain. However, when it's mental illness, you can't. When it's an invisible illness, you can't. Only they know. And going back to your point right at the beginning around you expect people to know, but people aren't unless you talk, right? So I think we've had an amazing discussion today. Thank you so much, Sagar, for sharing your story. I suppose before we do even close up or, kind of final thoughts around this, do you have any questions that anybody has reached out? Because I'm actually, I don't know, you can have a look for me. You're better at this than I.
Now, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for joining. We've got a lot of people who have done likes and emojis. Priya and Mandev with the 3 kisses. Cheers, guys. Thank you so much. We've got 21 people, and as Rinal said earlier, just keep sharing, guys. We'll try and figure out a way that we can allow this video to be shared. As Rinal said, because it's a private group, they don't have the share option, but we'll try and figure that out. But yeah, thank you, Rinal, for having me on this platform. And I just want to reach out to any of the men that are on this group. If you want to, if you think that you may feel like someone in your family or loved one and you want to help them, please do ask them to look at us, Mindful Men's Club. That's on Facebook, on Instagram, and we've just created a Facebook page, YouTube page. So all our topics are on Facebook and all our topics are on YouTube. So yeah, please do reach out. And I just want to point out, it doesn't just have to be men. Yes, it's men only in terms of the Zoom group. On Facebook, anyone can connect. It's so weird for me to say this, but half of the people that are in our Zoom group have actually been, it's a woman in their life that has actually said to these guys, actually, you're going through this. Why don't you go to Mindful Men's Club platform? So it's women that are sharing and telling their people, their family and friends to join us. And as Rinal knows, straight after Mindful Men's Club, guys, just so you know, is every 2 weeks on Zoom. You have to register through Eventbrite. Just type in Mindful Men's Club. And we start it at 11 o'clock. It finishes at 12:30. We have a different topic every day, every 2 weeks. We just had one on Saturday, so the next one will be on the 5th of December, and then every 2 weeks. We don't charge. Okay, it's a free platform. Come share. We don't believe in charging for something like this because we're actually getting the reward by just helping others. And if we can save one person from committing suicide, that's our reward, right? That we've actually done something or created a platform to help someone. So we don't charge. We will never, ever charge. And all 5 of us, even outside of Mindful Men's Club, our contact details are there. You can, if you think you don't want to share it on Mindful Men's, please do reach out individually, and we will happily listen to you guys, and talk. And same with the women. I've got a lot of women at the moment who, I don't know why, but they think I'm some kind of life coach or a counselor, because I'm actually helping so many people when I don't even know who they are. But it's so nice because for me, yes, it's my energy, yes, it's my time. However, because I'm, again, detached emotionally, I can help someone even more. And plus, because when you've gone through something yourself, whether it's depression, anxiety, health issue, it comes from a place here. You're not just talking from a textbook. So when you're telling someone, or when you're speaking to someone and you're going through someone and helping them with their relationship, they will connect with you more because you've gone through it and you're not just talking it from a textbook. So
Exactly. So thank you so much, Sagar. And I just want to say thank you to, again, the Asian Patient Forum. And we have had a couple of people say that, obviously, are we going to be able to share this session? And like you mentioned, Sagar, we'll find a way, because again, what we are about is raising awareness. We are about raising awareness, sharing the knowledge that we've gained just by even listening today. And I just want to thank you for being really brave today and totally inspiring in terms of what you've discussed today. I'm sure it will help a lot of people, whether they're watching it live or watching it back on replay and when we share it. What I do want to say as well is, for me, this is my first live session, and I cannot think of a better person to do it with, so thank you. But I will be doing continuously many more, I hope. And I just want to ask anybody that feels that they want to come on and share their story, please reach out to me, and we'll definitely plan some future sessions. So it is going to be something we continue doing, because we're in it together as a community. We need to break down these barriers and stigmas that exist within our culture. And really, on the final note, just kind of break the fact that no one is alone. It is okay to talk. and it's okay to not be okay. Right, Sagar?
It is. And I just want to say one last thing, just lovely way to finish it off is, again, thanks, Rinal. I think everyone should, yeah, definitely much love, Rinal, because you know what? You managed, it takes a lot of guts to actually even just go on live and share not just my story, but even as you as a host to do this. This is, you know, so meaningful to so many others. And, you know, the reason why sometimes growth will happen is don't expect anything, right? Expectations only makes you feel sad or affects you when you're expecting something in return. Because if you don't get it, like if we don't get these comments and we didn't get the likes, then only me and you will be upset by it. But because we're just doing it, just talking naturally. And so the way I live my life is why worry? And the why worry is there's a diagram. And it's like, do you have a problem in life? If the answer is yes, can you do something about it? And the answer is yes, then why worry? Do you have a problem in life? It goes, do you can something be done about it? The answer is no, then why worry?
I've seen that. I've seen that. And actually it's a great way to end. Yeah, definitely seen that.
Thank you so much, honestly.
Thank you so much, and we will connect. Thank you.
You later, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.